Our next session, to moderate this session on the future of education, please allow me to introduce our very own Dr. Fadi Helani, Senior Academic Research Fellow in Residence at the National Council on U.S. Arab Relations. He has been working with us on the Council since 2022, and let's just jump right into it. Dr. Helani, will you please join me up here? And the panel will be Dr. Mohammad Ibrahim Al-Zakari, President of Arab-U.S University, Mr. Ghassan Hitto, co-founder, chairman of the president of the Syrian Forum, if you would all join as well. Huh? Come on. Come on. And then you. Okay. The floor is yours.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. And it's not very easy to transition from talking about the politics of the U.S. and, of course, the Middle East. But while we may disagree or agree, actually, and have our agreements and disagreements on what is expected from the White House this coming January, of course, but we do not disagree, obviously, on the importance of education, whether in the Middle East, the Arab world, or, of course, anywhere. And as you all know, everybody, the National Council remains steadfast in its commitment to fostering deeper understanding and cooperation between the United States and the Arab world. This is why our panel, The Future of Education in the Arab World, is very important. No doubt, education serves as a transformative force, shaping societies, driving economic progress, and bridging cultural divides. Yet, educational systems across the Arab world reflect a vast diversity shaped by varying political, economic, and social landscapes. While certain Gulf countries have made commendable progress in integrating advanced technologies and innovative curricula, others continue to grapple with challenges, particularly in conflict-affected areas like Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. These challenges range from limited access to quality education and outdated curricula, to high youth unemployment and skills mismatches. Moreover, there is an urgent need for educational systems to equip students with competencies and understanding of digital transformation and interconnected economy. In this realm, the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted stark disparities in digital infrastructure, underscoring the imperative of sustainable educational reforms to bridge gaps in access and quality. The rapid pace of technological innovation, demographic shifts, and evolving economic landscapes present both unprecedented challenges and unique opportunities for education systems in the Arab world. Today's panel, therefore, will delve into these complexities and explore pathways towards more inclusive, adaptable, and future-ready educational landscapes across the region. This is why we are honored to have with us today two distinguished leaders who have dedicated their careers to advancing education and community development in the Arab world. Our first speaker is Dr. Mohammad Al-Zakari, President of the Arab-U.S University in Kuwait. Dr. Zakari brings invaluable insights into the transformative potential of open and distance learning across the Arab world. Under his leadership, the Arab-U.S University has expanded access to quality higher education for thousands of students, bridging educational gaps and supporting lifelong learning. Joining him is Mr. Ghassan Hitto, the co-founder, President and CEO of the Syrian Forum USA. With a deep commitment to the Syrian community, Mr. Hitto has championed educational and social initiatives that empower displaced and underrepresented populations, advocating for accessible and equitable education for all. His work reflects a vision of education as a means of resilience and empowerment, especially in challenging circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming both Dr. Zakari and Mr. Hitto. So if I first thank you both. I know you are not based in Washington, D.C. all the time, so you making the time and the journey to come here is very much appreciated. Thank you very much again. And if I start with you, Dr. Zakari, I know the Arab Open University is a huge initiative, actually, when we talk about digital learning and transformation. So if you can tell us something about the Arab Open University, please, and what are the challenges you foresee in this kind of transition?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Before I talk about the Arab Open University, I have to shed a light about the sector of higher education so that we can know what the job that has been done by the Arab Open University. As some of you know, that the first university initiated in the world was the university in Al-Qarawiyyin in Fas, Morocco. And the second university was the University of Al-Azhar. And between the first university that was initiated in the Arab world and the first university that initiated in Europe was 227 years, which was the Bologna University in Italy. And then the timing between the first university in the Arab world and the first university was established in the U.S. was 777 years. So there was a pioneership in the Arab world, but unfortunately, there are a lot of challenges in the Arab world concerning the accessibility of higher education. As all of you know, that when the universities, colleges started, there was only a place for the elite people. But when the Industrial Revolution have begun, there was a high demand for people who are educated and skilled. That is why the universities and higher education was to have to meet these demands of good and educated employees. Then the Industrial Revolution has an effect of what's so-called open universities. The Open University started as to meet the demand of the huge number of employees. And then we had to have what's so-called mega universities. One of them is the International Indira Gandhi Open International University in India. You can imagine that this university serves more than 4 million students. And one of the biggest mega university is the UNISA in South Africa. It serves fourth of the students in South Africa. Statistics told us that in 2000, in the year of 2000, there is a 99.1 million students in the higher education sectors. And this number will grow to be 559 million students in 2040. This goes beyond the capacity of higher education. That is why that is a reason to think about a new model for higher education, and that is the reason for establishment of Arab Open University. It was an idea that came up with an article about distance education. His Royal Prince Talal bin Abdul Aziz rahmatullahi alayhi read that article, and then he thought that if we establish an open university, we can help the sector of higher education. So the Arab Open University started on 2002 with a partnership with the UK Open University. And I will give you a story about a lady that she is in the age of 52, and she has 5 kids. And she worked as a servant in an elementary school. And then she has a certificate, a high certificate. But when she went and her husband died, and the only money that she can feed her kids from this small job. She went to public university. They said, you have to leave your job because our lectures is from 8 to 2. And then she said, who can feed my kids? And then she went to private universities in her country, because we know we have 9 Arab Open Universities in 9 countries. They said, if you do have $10,000, then we can get you a place in our university. She said, if I do have $10,000, I will not come to you. Then she came to the Arab Open University. We offer her a scholarship from the student fund. She graduated, became a teacher in the school that she was serving in it, and then she became a manager in that school. 3 years ago, they make a companionship. She got the first award of the best manager of that area.
Very impressive story. Thank you very much for sharing it. And no doubt, with digital education, of course, there is this ability to reach to a wide variety of students, actually, which answers always the question about accessibility. And no doubt, the internet is handy, of course, and people can, of course, go online and study. But that question of accessibility remains, especially when we come to speak about other socioeconomic classes in the society and underserved communities. And with an eye on areas under war, in war zones and conflict areas. I know, Mr. Ghassan Hitto, your leadership in the Syrian Forum USA is very much addressing these issues. So what can you tell us about the challenges which is facing education and accessibility in these areas?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Fadi. Your Excellencies, Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us today and for attending this session. I'm going to try to address the issue when it comes from the context of Syria for a couple of reasons. One is an area that I've been involved in for over 13 years. Second, I believe if we are able to understand and come up with ideas on how to resolve the education problem in Syria, it will be easier to address other places. It's a very challenging place to work in. And third, Syria represents a good example for conflict, post-conflict approaches. So for those 3 reasons, I'm going to focus on Syria, if you don't mind, but I think they will fit nicely into the overall topic of the issue of education in the Arab world. Let me give you a little bit of context because we can put this in perspective. This may appear a commercial for Syria, but it's not, because it will push the issue forward in our minds. Half of the population of Syria has been displaced. 2.4 million school-aged children, they don't go to school in Syria. That's all of Syria. 2.4 million school-aged children, they don't go to school. 1 million of those, they are in Northwest. Listen to the next statistics. Because we're going to drive it to 2 issues, Dr. Fadi, talking about access and talking about youth employment. The next statistics is 90% of the Syrian people, all of Syria, 90% of the Syrian people living below the poverty line. So when we talk about poor access to education and we talk about poverty, what happens? It's basically the factory of the problems that we try to resolve. If we are trying to resolve issues related to regional peace, then we have to look at education and economic empowerment. If we're trying to resolve issues related to extremism and terrorism and what have you, we have to go back and look at the issue of education and economic empowerment. And the list goes on and on and on. So we have a situation, we have a case study in Syria where when we put focus on it, we can potentially together come up with some solutions. For that, I want to say one more thing, and I wanted to see how you wanted to manage the sessions and the conversation. The problem with education and economic empowerment have been dealt with as project basis. So Syria has been under an emergency response mode since 2011. And when it comes to emergency response mode, right, that bucket, that fund, emergency response mode is in comparison to early recovery, to reconstruction phases. These are the typical phases of reconstructing a nation's post-conflict. So, but when we talk about emergency response mode, guess what happened to education and economic empowerment? They are the lowest priority, because in that emergency response mode, the concern is with saving lives. So it's not like because people who are granting are evil. No, this is not the issue. The issue is the paradigm, the programming of that mode does not focus on education. But when you have a protracted crisis, guess what happened? You have an entire generation that simply did not benefit from education. I frequent northwest Syria quite a bit. I've been there about 3 weeks ago, and probably when I return to Turkey, where I work, I will probably visit also northwest. And if I go along, if I take any of you to the city of Azaz, to Salqin, to Harim, to Afrin, to Jarablus, Jandaris, any of those cities in northwest. Northwest, by the way, before the crisis, had a population of 1.5 million people. Today, the population of the area is 5.1 million people. If I take you there, and I'll finish with this point, if I take you there into those streets, and we go to markets, and we talk to children that are in the age of 11, 12 years old, those who were born after the conflict, chances are we will rarely find a child that knows how to read. A rarity. This should basically raise our eyebrows, and we should be extremely concerned. I will tell you, hopefully, if Dr. Fadi allows me later on, and I'll tell you some of our programs about what we are doing, and hopefully that will pique your interest.
I hope we will be able to expand on this point, but I would love to pick up on the idea of putting the concept of education within the context of a program or a project. And one of the very important problems we know, and I experience this every day, of course, with the students usually coming to ask about how, they can speak about their employment perspectives. And as we know, the rate of unemployment in the Arab world is very high. And there's this challenge of aligning educational outcomes with the needs and the demands of the market. So in digital learning, and with the Arab Open University as an example, how do you address this challenge? How do you address the needs and the demands of the market in digital learning, in that transformation?
Well, and the example of the Arab Open University is to meet the need for a marketplace. The fantasy of the programs that are not related to the marketplace could be left to other institutions. In our experience, we only open the program that are required by the marketplace, so that when the students graduate, they do not go without jobs. So we have a lot of stories, a lot of statistics that show the successful of such a model that blend between the face-to-face intuition and the online learning. It's a good equation that with a little space of buildings, you can teach thousands of people with programs that are needed in the marketplace, so that when they graduate, they go and get jobs.
Thank you very much. And if I, with that concept in mind, about thinking about education and employment opportunities, and in very challenging areas like the conflict zones where you work, how are the educational needs of the students are met? Number one, and you spoke about these challenges in some way, of course, but how do you envision the perspectives of the employment of those people who are in the underserved areas in conflict zones? I mean,
excellent question. I think in education, this is what we have realized in our programming of education delivery. Unless we create a partnership between student, family, and teachers, the education delivery will be lacking or will be incomplete. Why is that important? Because if you remember the statistics, about 2.4 million school-aged children, they don't go to school. Guess what is the top cause for these children not to go to school? Labor. It's the economy, right? It's economics. They need to go to work. So what happens here? So in order to have a successful programming in education, you have to integrate that with working with families. You have to address the root cause of these students so you can create a successful pilot. So in our pilot, what we do is we have our family support center adjacent, right in the same property next to the schools that we are building. So we believe such a partnership with parents is extremely important. 50% of the teachers in Northwest Syria, they have only high school degree. So these individuals are responsible for teaching these students. So guess what? Their capacity needs to be built. They need to be trained. We need to upgrade their abilities to use an outdated curriculum and perhaps introduce to it other things that we require as we work with the next generation. So this partnership is important. But let me go back more directly to your question. On the economic empowerment, look, people at the end of the day, if we want to resolve problems from the root cause, we have to address their needs. People are driven by their needs. When we're talking about placing people in jobs, this is something a high priority for us. But I'm gonna get you a little bit excited about a program that we have. That program is called Dullani. It's an Arabic word that's basically inspired by the famous Sahabi Abdul Rahman bin Auf. It's known to Muslims who migrated from Mecca to Al-Medina. Abdul Rahman bin Auf was a Qurayshi rich man, a proud man, right? But he became penniless during that migration process. And then when he went to Al-Medina, he had a famous quote, Dullani ala suq. I'll take care of myself. So this program is inspired by that. It's basically show me the market. What we do with young people, this is the second part of our education and economic empowerment process, is aside from basic education, working with young people, we have decided, we have done a lot of work in the past. We have placed over 40,000 people in jobs, over the last 13 years. But we have realized is, there is something better that we could do. So we are working with young men and women and training them in Dullani camps on IT marketable skills. Marketable to who? To you. The idea is to create a workforce inside Syria under these miserable situations, but they're able to sell their services to people outside. And we're creating the framework through which you can deal with them. And we are placing them in areas where we don't get in trouble legally with the U.S. governments. That's the General License 22 areas. And basically allow you to get a economic or cheaper, workforce. Get the skills that you need, skills that you can attain remotely, just like you're outsourcing some work into China or India or Egypt or other places. Our idea is to create a nucleus of 500 individuals in Northwest, and we believe that will create a nucleus for a new market that will grow and build its own momentum.
Thank you very much. Very impressive indeed. And when we are looking at these challenges of putting students on the employment track, there is always that question about the credibility of the education they received, of course. And when we are thinking about digital transformation, there's always this question when people look with an eye of doubt about the way the students are receiving education and how they are being, how they are taking their classes, so on and so forth. So with everything the Arab Open University is doing in that digital transformation, in that high-tech environment, if you want, how are you addressing this question of credibility, and how are you assuring that your classes are meeting all the required standards of in-person education? And I want you, if you don't mind, to expand on this question. And I know you have a presentation, so if you can put that question in the context of your presentation, that will be great.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have the presentation ready?
It is in here, but...
Here we go.
Okay. Okay, I will go to these statistics. As I told you that in 2000 there was 99.1 million people in the higher education sector, and it will be more than 550 million people in the higher education sector, and this goes beyond the capacity of higher education institution. In the Arab region, for example, there is 5.1 million in 2000, in the year of 2000, and 10.8 million students in the higher education sector in the Arab region. And also this goes beyond the capacity of higher education institution. As of the information about the world population, there is in 2015 there is 7.4 million people, and in 2035 the number will be 8.9. In 2040 the number will be 9.2, and out of this number there is 8 million people who should go to the university that are aged between 18 and 23 years old. And as I'm saying that this goes beyond the capacity of higher education. Is there a model that will be to solve this capacity, to solve this problem? I think the model of online learning and blended learning is the one that can fit and can help in accommodating this huge number. Is this model credible? There is a questionnaire that is done by best colleges, and this is the 12-year questionnaire that question whether the online learning is credible as the face-to-face education or not. And let me, this survey concentrate on 4 areas: the online learning experience, the marketing of online program, the satisfaction of online students, and the planning for the future. So over 70% of the students, they said they receive good education as the good of face-to-face education. And 80%, they say we prefer to go online. Because of what? Because they are employees. They cannot leave their jobs. So that the online education and blended learning education can fit their needs. In terms of the Arab world, we do have a problem of accessibility. We do have a problem of quality. As I said, that even though the first university was in Fas, Morocco, and it was for the public, not for the elite, but we are losing the credibility and the quality assurance of higher education. If we apply the standard of higher education on a lot of the universities in the Arab world, this university will go outside the sector of higher education. They are very much less to have quality education. So what is the model? I said the model is the blended learning or the open education. This is the story of Arab Open University. The success became that it has a partnership with a good reputed university, which is the UK Open University. We teach the same program. We get the same new addition to the program from there. And then we offer the same program. The students will get two certificates. One is from the Arab Open University and the other one from the UK Open University. We faced a lot of challenges. People did not understand this model of education. But with the good quality, with a rigid system of assessing the outcome learning, we could do a good education for those people who graduated and find their way in the marketplace. Up to now, we serve more than 400,000 students. We help to graduate more than 75 students. 96 of them are female. We do have 9 universities in 19 Arab cities. We do have a vision that every single person of the Arab world has the right to serve their countries and to be and to share the development in their countries.
I'm sure, Dr. Zakari, there is a lot to talk about, but if you can wrap up in 1 minute, please, so we can just...
What I'm saying is we do have a model that can teach a lot of students with a small space with good quality.
Thank you very much. And that's exactly... And that is exactly very impressive, of course. And no doubt there is a lot of challenges, but at the same time, there is a huge opportunity, of course, for improvement and for transformation. There is a lot of questions, I know, from myself and from the audience, but obviously the time is limited. We have a very big program, so I hope we gave an idea to everybody about some of the challenges and the opportunities which are, of course, facing education in the Arab world. And with this, please join me, everybody, in thanking again our guests, our respected guests, Mr. Ghassan Hitto and Dr. Mohammad Al-Zakari. Thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.